Link engaged.
Visit us at TeamSpeak.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Team Liquid TeamSpeak StarCraft 2 Open number 20. We're currently in the finals already of this tournament, in a best of 5 between Hack here, representing Team ZeNEXHack as our blue Terran in the top left position, against his opponent, Terius, aka Zephyr. Of course, this was played on the Korean server, since both these players are Korean, to minimize the latency, as there is quite a bit of latency going between servers. So that's the reason why his name changed between the semifinals and the finals, in case any of you were wondering. But Zephyr going to be our teal Zerg here in the top right. Now, we are going to be on close air positions on Shakura's plateau. And I can't help but feel like that is just going to give a better position to Hack than it would to Terius. Based on the fact that he'll be able to do some drops execute drops a lot easier than you would if they're in cross positions.
Yeah. I want to talk about the map choice just a little bit. Shakura's plateau was Hack's choice, as obviously he lost that last game. And I don't know if I agree with it. I kind of think Shakura's favors Zerg a little bit. Two racks can be pretty good here, but unless he kills him with the 2 racks, I feel like Zerg gets a very easy, fast expansion, very easy third base, and it becomes quite hard for Terran to deal with it. The thing that I really think makes this hard for Terran is the fact that he has to push across a big map through one attack path that is relatively open. So it gives Zerg a lot of options for kind of dealing with that army. That said, if Terran can secure 2-3 bases and stay fairly equal economically with Zerg, you're absolutely right. He can do a lot of fun stuff with drops. I think drop play is as good on this map as it is on any map in the game. This is one of the best maps for mass drop play, in my opinion, because the bases are so spread out. But I have to really feel like Hack. He must be feeling really confident in his ability to play a macro game against Zephyr, because quite frankly, if I'm a Zerg player and I lose a game to a Terran opponent, this is going to be one of my first choices in terms of the next map we play.
All right, that makes it a pretty interesting thing to consider. I hope we are going to see some kind of very specific strategy from Hack. A lot of times these players, like that Tal'Darim ZVP we saw with 8 pool or whatever, 10 pool into Nidus. Maybe he'll have some kind of very specific build that's tailored to this map, or as you said, he might just be very confident on this map. This map is, of course, in the ladder pool, so a lot of players just have a lot of confidence on a map like this since they've played on it so many times. But he's going to be able to force that Overlord out of space. Obviously not going to actually get the kill here. So Zephyr not actually able to get too much information from that Overlord. Didn't actually see the first gas of Hack, and that's pretty important. He doesn't know if Hack could be going for a gasless expand here, or if he could be going for the Reaper expand that he is instead going for.
Yeah, I love this opening. I really, really love this opening. I think this is the strongest way to open in TVZ right now. I think the Hellion openings just kind of die to things like we saw in the last game, Baning Busts and Roach All-Ins. This Reaper opening, Reaper expand, is just so safe and solid. You've got Marauders, easy access to Marauders, so Roaches aren't going to hurt you. The Reaper gives you such good scouting, and it's a harassment tool as well. It's just a great, cool, good, solid opening. Pretty fast second gas coming here out of Hack, so I'm kind of curious what that means. Maybe he's going to go 2-factory siege tank, as we see he is putting a factory down on that tech lab, and will most likely be moving towards some sort of tank play. I can't really think of anything else that makes sense on this map in these positions.
I suppose it's theoretically possible that he'll just try to do another kind of transition like we saw in that last game with starports, but no. He is going to add on that second factory, so good call. Probably going to be going for, just that heavy tank style, although I suppose, in theory, could still be something like, some crazy Blue Flame Hellion transition.
Blue Flame. Blue Flame's really good as well. I should never, disregard that possibility.
Yeah, I think on a map like Shakura's, unless you also got a medevac, though, it's not going to be as effective simply because all you have is this one tiny ramp to get in the Zerg base through, and so just 1 or 2 spawns or a good SimCity will just shut that down so easily. That Blue Flame on this map I feel would not be as effective unless you're also going to go for the medevacs and do those Blue Flame drops. But he is setting up a reactor on his barracks to switch out with that factory.
Oh yeah, he nailed it.
It looks like it is going to be Blue Flame Hellion.
Blue Flame Hellions. This is good too. Like you said, getting up that front ramp can be a little bit tough, and a smart Zerg player will make like a really tight wall there that he can just block with a queen, so that Hellions can't get up that ramp at all. Mm-hmm. The question here is going to be, is Zephyr going to be able to realize what's happening? Because he has no idea. He's seen. Well, let me just look and see what
Nothing.
He's seen.
Well, no, actually.
He's seen double gas. So
he actually saw the factory with the tech lab. Now that I remember, with that Zergling up the ramp. So that's actually pretty important. That's going to let him know. I mean, why would you go Factory Tech Lab for tanks that early? I don't usually see Terrans go for tanks that early in the game. So that might actually give him a tip off.
Siege expand isn't unheard of.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
if
true,
he was
but I say it
expecting...
at least opens up the option. You know, he's not playing completely in the blind. He doesn't even, like, you know, it's not like, oh, I still don't know if he has gas or anything by now, you know.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. If he was expecting Blue Flame Hellions, there would be a Roach Warren down. You cannot defend... Well, you can, but you're not... You shouldn't be able to defend Blue Flame Hellions with just Zerglings. You shouldn't. But, I mean, Zephyr is doing a really cute job. He's got a nice little wall kind of materializing here at the front of the base, but these Hellions are on the way. And, man, I don't know. It's going to be tough. This is going to be actually really tough.
Yeah, I think he needs a better wall off. I like, though, that he put a spine in the main already, so that clearly lets us know that he probably knows this is coming. Oh, my God, walking right through. Now he's going to bring his drones to defend, but drones are not very good versus Blue Flame Hellions, so they just run right past. This is why you need to set up that wall off. This is why you need to set up that Sim City. This is such a nightmare to deal with as a Zerg player.
This is really good defense, though.
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed here. A couple drones are going to get roasted, but this is not a... Well, no, maybe not.
Oh, that was painful to watch. That was just a giant melting pot of drones right there.
I thought that he had avoided the worst of it. In total, he lost 16 drones there. That makes them even in terms of workers. I mean, Zerg wants to be ahead. Zerg wants to be well ahead in terms of workers. But I'm still not ready to say that was a great trade because with the loss of those Hellions, Hack loses all of his map control, he loses all of his scouting, and he loses all of his ability to defend any sort of a counterattack. Now, there's not a counter coming. Zephyr's just building a lot of drones to kind of stay ahead, and he's taking up to Infestor. But, ooh, man, this is tough. I feel like Hack's in a pretty good spot.
I like that he actually is going for this Banshee transition in the mid game here. Of course, you know, Zephyr has been kind of, you know, overcommitted, not necessarily overcommitting, but committing to defending against these Hellions. So, doesn't even have an Evo chamber, no spore. Oh, no, he does have an Evo chamber, of course, at the natural, but no spores anywhere. So they're just going to be relying on Queen. So if he actually does this strange little mid-game transition into Banshees, not only is this going to give him a good opportunity to do some harassment, but if he's actually active with that Banshee and moves it around, he might actually be able to scout the infestation pit and will be able to get himself some good scouting here.
Yeah, he'll kill a couple drones. He's not going to do a whole lot. He doesn't have Cloak, and he's, you know, the Queen. If he had just focused the Queen, he might have been better off, because one Banshee will kill one Queen. But basically, he's just going to get these couple of drone kills, and he's going to get some scouting, and that's all. That doesn't mean that it's not worth it. He's absolutely going to, you know, get a return on this investment. He's going to know exactly what his opponent's up to. But, you know, beyond that, he's not putting himself way ahead with it. I do like the fact that he's transitioning heavily into Marine Tank. That's going to play well against this Ling Infestor style. So long as he controls it correctly. Basically, it becomes a battle for, you know, good army control at this point.
I'm a bit worried, right, to be honest, for Zephyr, since this attack is coming out with all of these Marines and these 2 siege tanks with it.
Oh, man, he's going to be fine. He's got Infestors on the way. Or he's got Infestors out.
He already has them out. And actually, I didn't realize he already had Path of Glance done. So yeah, he has the energy. Unless we see, like, the most amazing, beautiful Marine splits ever from Hack, which we don't, then yeah, he should be fine against this as long as he gets enough Lings out to actually be able to kill off those tanks eventually. And Zephyr's already taken himself a third. It's about 2/3 of the way done. So assuming he defends this push without too much, you know, issue, he should be in a really good position moving into the mid-late game.
I think Hack's blundering a bit here. I don't think this push is going to do anything. There's a bunch of production behind this Zerg army right now. He's going to have 3 hatchers. Here come the Infestors. Infested Terrans going down. One nice fungal. And well, I don't know, man. Now that I thought Zephyr was fine, but he used all of his energy on Infested Terrans, and that makes you know, that was.
I mean, he just needed a second fungal there on the rest of the Marines because, you know, one fungal isn't going to kill the Marines, and the medevacs will just slowly heal them up over time. So, I mean, if you just dropped that second fungal, every single Marine all of a sudden would have been dead, and it would have been just siege tanks against Infested Terrans. So I understand why he did it, but without the second fungal, you can't afford to do that.
Yeah, now he's just burning energy on Infested Terrans, and that's no good, man. I mean, Infested Terrans are really good at dealing with tanks and stuff, but you've got to deal with the Marines first. And now this push from Hack that I did not think was going to be all that, you know, all that big of a deal is doing a lot of damage. He's forcing a lot of Lings. He's not really killed any drones yet. But look at this. Hack's managed to create a huge worker lead now. Ooh, but Hive's done, you're right.
Yeah, Hive's already done. That's crazy. I just noticed it in the production tab, like 90% of the way done. I'm like, oh my god, he's already got a Hive up. So he'll be able to take up to, you know, Broodlord or you know, Ultra. He'll be able to get Adrenal Glands. So he's doing a nice job, you know, staying ahead on the tech.
Wow,
yeah, it's his 3rd and 4th base.
Great dropship micro there. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, really good picking up that tank, picking up those Marines. But it looks like Zephyr, I mean, even though it looks like he's barely defending and he might die at any moment, I think he's fine right now because he's got his 3rd and 4th base up, has a great tech advantage, and he's staying alive. As long as he doesn't lose drones and he just, stays alive essentially right now, Hack's going to be at a grave disadvantage. He keeps, kind of throwing away all his units. He keeps attacking, losing tanks, losing Marines, and, he's just going to not really have anything once the late game comes and all these high-tech units come out for Zephyr. And actually a Nidus coming up, so it looks like he realizes he's dedicating all his units to the front here. He's going to set up a Nidus in the back, has the Overlord in position in the main of Hack. So he's going to use that to try to force these units to fall back or, force something like a base trade.
Now we'll see. Hack has vision, complete vision of his base, so I don't see that Nidus really going off with unless he just misses it because he's spending too much time with his army. Look, this push is really becoming a big deal.
It is. Those tanks on the low ground are so annoying. Yeah,
Zephyr made a big mistake by burning all that energy without dealing with the Marines. You have to deal with the Marines. The Marines they're great units. And if you don't kill the Marines, you put yourself in such a bad position. Now Zephyr's actually going to lose his natural. Look at that. He tried to do the Nidus and it got spotted immediately. And as soon as it does, Zephyr just GG's out. Holy smokes, man! That ties up the series, right?
We're moving to game 5, man. It's 2-2.
So I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the game there because a lot of stuff happened that I feel like with perfect play from both sides. The outcome should have been much different. Like the initial push from Hack, to me it felt too soon. It didn't feel strong enough, and there were infestors out. Zephyr should have been able to kill the Marines and then deal with the siege tanks with Zerglings. So that was in my opinion, Hack was blundering to push then. But Zephyr doesn't defend correctly. He kills a few Marines and he does a good job with that. But then he uses all of his infestor energy on infested Terrans and doesn't do anything about the siege tank numbers. And so Zephyr makes a big blunder, and in doing so, he loses 100% of his map control. He loses his ability to deal with the Marines because he's just burned all of his energy, and he's got no real answer for the Terran army that's sitting on his creep. So, I kind of feel like he misplayed that defense pretty badly. Also, very noteworthy in my opinion, he went for a super fast hive for Ultras, and he didn't make a single Ultra.
He made one. It just wasn't in time, even close. But I do just want to kind of mention. You were talking about Hack's decision to move out, and I think it was a blunder. But I just want to kind of explain the what I think was his thought process behind it, because I see the Korean players do this all the time at TVZ, and it's what it is that he scouted the lair with his Banshee, and he didn't see the infestation pit, so he assumed it was a spire somewhere. And a lot of Terrans will like to hit at that time right before the spire will be done with that really early attack with just 12 Marines and 2 tanks. So I think that's why he was moving out right there. I do agree with you that was a mistake, but given the amount of scouting information he had, I think that's why he decided it would be a good idea to move out before his spire's done. But then once that infestation pit was up, the infestors were already out. He had enough energy to throw down 4 fungals. Now, all he really needed was 2, and then the rest Infested Terran. But I completely agree with you. I think Infested Terran is kind of like one of the most overused spells. It's good, obviously, when you're trying to kill buildings. And it's good in some situations, like after you've fungled, for example, like a medevac to kill off the medevac, or, to put him next to siege tanks. It's great to put him next to siege tanks there, but, it's like we said during the game, man. You need to kill off the Marines first. So, that was a big mistake. And then it looked like I was saying during the game, it looks like he's fine. He's got his 4 bases. But he just made, a couple more key mistakes there. I think going for that quick hive was an interesting choice that could have worked out really well for him, especially if he'd gone for Broodlords instead of
that's what I was going to say. Broodlords really would have made that a lot more with the Broodlords let him deal with the tanks, and Hack wasn't in a position to make a bunch of Vikings or Ghosts.
I can see why you would want to go for it, because Hack was being so hyper aggressive. I don't think he would have been able to get Broodlords out in time. With the amount of build time, since he didn't already have a Spire that game, he would have had to build a Spire, then build the Greater Spire. It would have taken forever. Of course, he could have worked that into his timings if he had wanted to go for them. That being said, but I think it really just came to down to unit control, which is what you were talking about during the game. Whoever controls better, and Zephyr just didn't control his infestors as well as he needed to there.
Yeah,
I think that's that.
On that, I agree with you completely. But you know what? We've been killing a lot of time talking about all the cool stuff that's happening between these two players. But the truth of the matter is, it's 2-2 in an awesome best of 5 in this final. We need to take a few minutes for a commercial and then come back with the last game.